Impact Alert.
Hey, good morning, everybody. It's 10 o'clock right here on 13 Plus. I'm Tanner Holbrook, joined by meteorologist Colton Woods and Chief Meteorologist Samantha Jacks. We are coming to you live on 13 Plus right now to give you the latest updates in what is a pretty impactful weather scenario here. I mean, not only do we have lake effect snow for some of our lakeshore folks, but it's just downright cold outside.
Yeah. We've got a dangerous combo pack kind of going on outside. If it was one or if it was the other, I'd be like, okay, we'd probably still be under weather impact alert, but I wouldn't be as worried.
Right.
But having both at play at once is just nasty.
Well, I should mention, we are going to be chatting with you over the next 2 hours here. So be sure to ask us questions. Sam is going to put up a post on her Facebook page. Did you do that already? Did you not do it?
No,
Sam's
I'm going to.
it.
He asked me to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it.
No, it's fine. It's fine. But you can still, if you're not on Facebook, you can always text us 616-559-1310. I actually have my laptop here in the studio that I will be funneling through some of those questions as well.
Yeah, grill us. Ask us, well, I would say anything, but we all know some of you at home will ask some weird things.
Ask us questions that pertain to the weather. Yeah, exactly. We should also mention we have the weather chaser out chasing the conditions along the lakeshore. Here's a live look at some of the road conditions that we're dealing with. So I was driving back yesterday from Indiana here to West Michigan. This is exactly what the roads looked like.
Is it?
And it is just scary, things like that. You can just see the white on the road, and that's basically all you can see.
Yeah, and you drove in from Muskegon this morning.
Yeah, how were the roads?
How was that?
I-96 was kind of rough.
Yeah.
And every individual car was creating whiteout conditions.
Yeah.
And I just
swirls
see.
behind.
And it's always the pickup trucks.
Yep.
I'm just kidding. Not
Even
always.
the
No shade to our pickup truck folks, but.
And with how fine and dusty this snow is, it can be a tiny little car that's kind of kicking it up because of the fine particles of the snow. It's the snowfall ratio, and we can talk more about that throughout the show, why this looks so different than a system snow that moves through, but we should probably talk about the weather a little,
let's chat about the weather. So what are we feeling like outside? I know we were not even breaking zero with the feels likes this morning, and I saw you went on a coffee break.
I did.
And you had your parka zipped up all the way.
And it just never got warm. It was like I cracked the windshield to get the coffee. I was like, I'll just really quickly, thank you. I felt guilty for having the barista, am I saying that right?
Barista,
yeah. Have to have their window open. All right, but let's look outside because it doesn't look great. This is Walker. 6 degrees currently. Wind chill value sitting at -8. 2 miles visibility, that's questionable considering it looks a bit apocalyptic out there right now. Web cameras across the state. We've got Grand Haven, who's kind of been sitting and squeezing in and out of a lake effect snow band since yesterday afternoon. Fremont looks snow coated. Fremont, I don't expect you to see quite as much snowfall as some of our other areas, but you still will certainly see lake effect snow. Holland. Yeah, the fact that you have heated streets and you can still see your sidewalks are covered in lake effect snow shows that it's a bit brutal out there in Ottawa County. And then even the bridge, you would not get me on the Mackinac Bridge in conditions like that. Live look over Muskegon right now. Quarter-mile visibility, that seems about like it, that they would be that in terms of visibility. Temperature-wise, 7 degrees, feeling like -8. Now, this is a look at some of our different road conditions. I will say when we pull these MDOT cameras, sometimes they work, sometimes they don't, so just be flexible with us with that. The good news is that because a lot of people have today off, there haven't been quite as many people out on those roadways, which is nice and helpful. If you have to be out on the roads, you need to take it slow. We're starting to see a tilt in the lake effect bands. Notice here, and I'll get my little arrow out if it wants to work. I always kind of forget how to do this until I'm in the moment. There we go. So notice how the bands at the end of this radar loop are starting to tilt a little bit more westerly. That drags those bands a little bit further inland. Colton, you want to talk a little bit about that band structure and why we're seeing that and how long it's supposed to last like that for?
Yeah, for sure. When we have a westerly wind like we currently see right now, you can see a lot of the bands are beginning to tilt more to the west to east orientation. And when we do see those westerly winds, Sam, we definitely have Grand Rapids and areas further inland near US 131 seeing the snow, because yesterday that really wasn't the case. We had more of a northwest wind, which brought the worst of the conditions on I-196 in Ottawa and Allegan counties.
And now everyone in Ottawa and Allegan County are like, finally, some redemption action like they're getting it there in Grand Rapids, because yeah, they've just been under these consistent northwesterly belts. You get the westerly wind, you get the wind strengthening, right? Those winds gaining a little bit of a little bit of steam, and those bands pull inland. We're starting to see that across the 96 corridor right now, and I wouldn't be surprised if we continue to see that pull even further inland, really crossing the US 131 corridor and then hovering everywhere to the west of that. Wind forecast today does give us wind gusts sitting between 25 to 30 miles per hour. So when we have wind gusts that strong and they're out of the west, it drags those bands inland. It also makes our wind chill factor even colder, which Colton will talk about in just a minute here. But hour by hour forecast showing off that we continue on with lake effect snow today, tomorrow, finally ending by Tuesday evening. So we will get some relief, and during the overnight hours we don't see as strong of winds, so we actually will likely see those lake effect bands recede back to the lakeshore boundary again overnight tonight and into tomorrow morning, and that's what gives us some of our highest snowfall totals. Colton, you want to talk totals here?
Yeah, right now this is through noon. You can already see a couple inches of snow will be possible. By the evening commute though, a widespread 1 to 2, maybe even 3 inches likely, because those winds really blowing in those snow bands further in toward even Lansing and all the way toward Pontiac, which is pretty impressive. And then by the time we get to tomorrow morning, you can see our hot spots of Ottawa County, even into southern Kent County, Allegan County, and maybe even southern Muskegon County, probably seeing several inches of snow, right around 6 inches or so by the time we get to the morning commute tomorrow.
Yeah, and here's the thing. You're saying to yourself, okay, whatever, 6 inches of snowfall, we can do that, we can handle that. It's not just the amount of snow that we're experiencing, it's also the fact that this snow is so light, it's so fine, it's so fragmented that it's blowing everywhere. We've got 30-mile-per-hour wind gusts. You can't see the car in front of you as it's actively snowing. Yes, it is going to be really easy to shovel though, which is always nice. This is not the heart attack snow that you're out there and really busting a sweat over shoveling, so that part's nice. Here's a look at our map now through 7 a.m. on Tuesday morning. I will say the localized pockets of higher amounts are going to be in our typical Ottawa County, Allegan County areas, right? That's going to be in this little zone right here where we do expect to see the highest snowfall totals. That is in part due to the fact that they've already been experiencing snow all this morning and now continuing on with northwest or west-northwest belts that will continue to clip those regions as well. So they kind of don't get out of any sort of situation of snowfall, while those of us inland are just now starting to see that snow spread in. If you live up here, Big Rapids, Mecosta, Mount Calm County, Reed City, Baldwin, I don't expect you to be in the brunt of the snow by any means. Less than an inch in some situations for you guys, 1 to 3 inches at best. And that's just because you have less fetch across the lake. And when I talk about fetch, I just mean how much time does this lake effect snow band actually spend over the water? See how if a lake effect snow band was stretching like this all the way across and then extending across that open body of water through Ottawa and Allegan County, how long it gets to spend along Lake Michigan, where if it's crossing from right here, it doesn't get to pick up as much water. When that happens and it doesn't get to pick up as much water within the cloud itself, it loses steam, falls apart before it makes it to Big Rapids. So that's why you guys don't see nearly as much snowfall in this zone when we do have this west-northwest belt. So we also have what we call convergence, which is fancy. Google it if you want to learn more about it. That's a fancy weather word that is going to happen to the south of the 96 corridor in that zone from 96 to 94. So that's kind of what we've got going on for you in terms of snowfall totals. In a little bit here, Colton's going to give you more on the cold temperatures. But Tanner, I think we're going to send it back to you because I know Erin's got another check of the roads, right?
Yeah, she does. And it's very interesting what you're talking about there with the lake effect snow. In many cases, lake effect snow can be very visibly blinding when you're on the road. And I want to check in with Erin Sullivan. She is live in our Weather Chaser right now. Erin, good morning to you. I know that you have been all across the lakeshore this morning, right? So you've been north toward Muskegon, you went down. Now I understand you're around Holland. Where are you at and what have you seen on the roads?
Yeah, so we're definitely we're about north of Benton Harbor right now, and we're traveling on I-1 196 south. So, but I just first want to start by saying, Sam, I think it's a compliment that you called me Amber. I see a trend going on here. Sometimes we get Erin and Amber mixed up, but she's lovely. So, but yeah, if you want to take a look in front of us right now, this is a live look at the roads. And like Sam said earlier, this snow is very fine. So every time someone does pass up, that is getting blown up into our visibility. And I would say that is probably the most dangerous part of our commute this morning. We've been out since 5 this morning, and that snow coming up as semis or pickup trucks fly past us in the left lane, I would argue that that is causing these accidents that we're seeing. At least I can only assume, right? I mean, we're seeing a lot of cars just stalled at the side of the road, and even semis and cars in the ditches. So obviously that's not a good sign. I would argue that that was because of low visibility as well. Now the sun is out, a lot smoother, I would say, our commute's going. So that's definitely good news here. But I will say, if you do have to go out on the roads today, just be careful, distance yourself from other cars. Definitely don't want to be too close to any semis. Another thing I will say, our photographer Doug and I did notice that some of the semis, their trailers are swerving on the roads and going into other lanes that could potentially be hazardous if you are next to them. So give yourself some space, give yourself some time. Do not rush it this morning. But like I said, I'll reiterate this. Snow is fine, and that is what's causing these visibility issues. So we will be going, I will say we're going live every half hour, but I'm not sure, since we're streaming now, you might hear from me more frequently. But yeah, we are in like southwest Michigan right now. We're heading more towards St. Joe's, and then we're going to pivot, go a little bit towards Kalamazoo. So this is a live look at what we're experiencing right now, and I'll toss it back to you guys in studio. But for now, live in the Weather Chaser, Erin Sullivan, 13 on your side.
Erin, while we have you, you said we're going to hear from you a little more frequently,
we're not
right?
letting you
We're
go
not
that
letting you go. So we're going to sit here and chat with you for a second, Erin.
I know, I'll just yap for you guys.
Perfect.
Okay.
That's exactly what we want to hear. So talk to us about the worst conditions that you've seen up and down the lake shore today. Obviously, Benton Harbor, you're down towards the border of Michigan and Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
So where have the trouble spots really been for you guys? You've been out on the roads for about 5 hours now.
I would say Grand Haven wasn't too great, especially because it is so dark out in the morning. That's definitely something I don't appreciate when I'm driving on the expressway in these conditions. Is it's dark, there's not a lot of lights, and really the only thing that you can see in front of you and behind you are other people's headlights. So it is pretty scary, especially once it's like in whiteout conditions, especially at that hour. I would say right now conditions are a lot better, obviously because it's lighter out, but also because I think people are slowing down. We can see the road a bit better as well. But I would definitely say this morning in Grand Haven was not great. I would say conditions are going to be great, but also this morning I did say, if you guys remember, every 10 minutes it was really a different story. So definitely driving in and out of those pockets, it just kind of really depends.
Yeah, it's so funny to see, even just from when we took your guys' camera shot 12 minutes ago,
Right.
how different the roads have looked between them. Have you guys seen any bad accidents yet this morning, or has it just been more, kind of cars wobbling side to side?
We haven't seen any car accidents. I will say we have seen cars that have gone off into the ditches. We saw 2 semis that we can only imagine maybe did collide, but we're not really sure the true story there. That was a bit near South Haven. Grand Haven, we did see some cars spun out of control and going into the oncoming traffic, I will say, but they were, at the side of the road. But yeah, definitely have seen some of those situations.
Jeez.
Yeah, Erin, what have you seen in terms of the difference of freeways and maybe back roads, county roads, things like that? Have you seen a major difference out there on the roads? We're looking at this freeway and it looks pretty clear. It looks like driving conditions are not the worst where you're at. So what have been the worst conditions that you found? The freeways or back roads, county roads?
I would say just this morning in Kent County, leaving our station and jumping onto the expressway, that was the worst. I did see it. I'm not sure if that's because plows didn't make their way to them yet. That could be a different story right now. But I would say this morning was a lot worse. So road conditions definitely improved, but I would say Kent County's looking pretty rough, at least from this morning. I definitely did not enjoy my ride to work.
Yeah, well, we want you to stay safe, Erin. Thank you so much. And tell Doug He's a trooper for
Yeah.
driving for this long.
Yeah, we got to give a shout out to our chief photographer, Doug
For sure.
Grievous. He's in the driver's seat right now. And these two are really a pair. These are usually our weather chasers
Yes.
when we have them out here for our morning show. So great work, guys. We're going to check in with you guys back here in just a few minutes. It's about 10:14. If you're joining us right now, we are live on 13 Plus, chatting with you about the winter weather conditions outside. Of course, we've got
Is
the
it ever gonna
lake effect
end?
snow. I know. I feel like we've just been so snowy.
How many days till spring? It was 61 on Friday. So
Okay.
what's that? We're getting closer.
You gotta have
We're
that
getting closer.
countdown.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's very soon we're going to go live to Brian Wheeler with Consumers Energy. We are working to get his audio back right now. But I mean, right now we're dealing with the lake effect snow.
Yes.
And the bitter cold. I think that's what I'm more worried about is the cold.
Yes.
Stepping out this morning, I had like the level 4 out of 5 parka. I had the
I
gloves
think yours
on.
is like a 10 out of 10 parka because
Yeah.
you have the fancy one.
I do have, but it's because I live here. That's why I bought
Right,
it.
yeah,
and
you
this
need
is
it.
the example of what we're talking about right now.
And speaking of cold temperatures, Colton, you've got the info on the cold temperatures for us.
Oh,
How are
yeah.
we doing right now? What are we sitting at? Where are we going? Are we going to get any sort of relief? I know the answer, so I guess I'm theoretically asking you.
Yeah, well, the relief probably won't be coming until Thursday, unfortunately, and it's definitely the coldest air since 2019 as well. If we could switch it over to Max 2, please, thank you. We do have temperatures right now generally in the single digits outside. Grand Rapids only sitting at 6 degrees. This is probably our high temperature of the day. Yeah, high temperature. We are really not going to warm up pretty much for the rest of the day. Muskegon sitting at 8 degrees with that lake effect snow continuing. So near the lakeshore, you're seeing more snow and you're a little bit warmer. Thankfully, though, we're not like Wisconsin. They're sitting below 0 right now in Milwaukee. And also Sheboygan, they're sitting at -4, even though they are seeing some sunshine. You can see it is very, very cold on the other side of the lake in Minnesota. It is -27 degrees for the actual temperature in International Falls. Feeling probably closer to -40 or maybe even -50 up there, but we're a little bit warmer still, though, in the single digits. The first time we've had single-digit highs since 2019 when the first polar vortex really moved through West Michigan. Feels like temperatures, though, much colder than the actual temperature. -8 right now in Grand Rapids, -5 in Muskegon, -18 in Kalamazoo. Usually schools close when the wind chill gets about -15 to -20, and that pattern really will continue over the next several days through at least a Wednesday morning or so. But look at on the other side of the lake, it feels like -21 in Milwaukee, even though they are seeing a lot more sunshine than we are here in West Michigan. Over the next several hours through the evening commute, temperatures will still feel like around -10 to -15 across most of West Michigan. Besides the immediate lakeshore, they will likely be a little bit warmer as those lake effect clouds and the snow will be ongoing, which keeps them at least a little bit warmer than us further inland. Taking a look at the webcams across West Michigan, though, you can see Grand Rapids, very snowy. You can hardly see out there right now. Grand Haven, a little bit improvement since this morning. Still snowing in Muskegon. Looks very Arctic across the region, and that's why we have that 13 weather impact alert in effect through at least Wednesday at noon for mostly the bitterly cold temperatures. Sub-zero wind chills will continue right through Wednesday afternoon with that lake effect snow as well, especially near the lakeshore, the heaviest probably in Allegan and also Ottawa counties. So definitely limit your time outdoors. You could get frostbite within only 30 minutes. And that's why the National Weather Service also has for everybody a cold weather advisory. This is new verbiage. It used to be a wind chill advisory, but it is now a cold weather advisory because wind chills will be below -15 for most of us over the next few days. Timing out those wind chills, you can see by tomorrow morning still generally below 0, -16 in Muskegon, -6 in Kalamazoo, and even colder off to the north. But the coldest air, at least what it will feel like, doesn't really arrive until late Tuesday going into Wednesday morning. Tuesday evening feeling like -20 to -25 near I-94. And then look at this, on Wednesday morning, probably widespread school closings, I imagine, just because the wind chills will be so cold, right around -25 for everybody before finally some improvement starts to move in. And Thursday into Friday, temperatures will feel like the teens, so you know it's bad when we're saying it'll be warm when the feels like temperatures are back into around 15 positive, not below zero. So this cold air likely continues to move in across the region. Day by day high temperatures show we will be in the single digits for now through Tuesday, with that warming trend going into Saturday
Bring
and
back the
Sunday.
30s.
And yay, normal temperatures
I never thought I'd
arrive.
be begging for 30s.
For real. Normal temperatures arrive even warmer than average in parts of the Midwest, hopefully by the time we end this month into early February. So guys, that cold really will just continue, but we have some relief in sight, hopefully.
Don't let us
Yeah.
get too excited. Warmer than average.
Hold on.
No.
So I got to talk about this because you were showing those feels like temperatures, I believe, for tonight, overnight into tomorrow morning, down towards Branch County, Hillsdale County, St. Joe County.
Yeah.
Negative 22.
I know. Call
Yeah.
mom and dad.
Well,
Mom, dad.
Mom and dad,
All
if you
the
are
layers.
watching right now, all the layers. Negative
Yeah.
22 as it feels like is insane. And I would imagine, we can't say for certain because we are not the powers that be there, but I would imagine that we will have some school closures because of the cold tomorrow.
Oh,
Yes.
for sure.
My mom and sister, both teachers on the east side of the state, they have been texting me since like last Wednesday. We're going to get a
Yeah.
snow day next Wednesday. I'm like, slow down. That means I have to work harder. So
Right.
shouldn't you not want that for me as your daughter? But no, we get it, especially this time of year, like they want a break.
Yeah, absolutely. So speaking of the frigid temperatures, let's run through warming centers really quick. Of course, we want to pop our 13onyourside.com on the screen. We're going to chat about school closures today because we do know that some were out for MLK Day.
Yeah, so we didn't get as many. I think there were, well, I don't know. It was about 60 when I checked this morning, but there would have been more
Yes.
had more schools actually been open today.
So what you're looking at right now is 13onyourside.com. We have a list of warming centers. This is a really great resource if you know somebody who may be in need of a warm place to go. We're talking Kent County's on here, Ottawa County's on here, Muskegon County is on here. We have compiled a very comprehensive list.
And this is great because
Kalamazoo
truly
County.
this is dangerous cold. I know we're being lighthearted and we're happy to be here with you right now, but this really is
Yes.
dangerously cold air. I mean, most likely the coldest air mass. We got to wait until the day ends and all that stuff to get the real data that we've seen since 2019. That's 6 years since we've seen
Yeah.
this cold of air. So help your neighbors, help your family, help your friends.
So to my point, though, we were talking about school closures. We had just a handful today, a couple dozen schools closed. Like you said, it'll probably be more tomorrow
Yes.
because we are expecting some more Arctic air to come our way and stay here for the day tomorrow.
And one thing about when that Arctic air moves through, we all start to think about, okay, what's our energy bill going to be like by the end of all
Right.
this? Because we're trying to keep our house warm, and it just gets harder and harder.
Yeah, so let's go to Brian Wheeler with Consumers Energy. Brian, are you there? Good morning.
I am. Good morning.
Hey, Brian, good morning to you. So we know that this is going to be an interesting time for consumers here. We know that the folks at home, they're trying to heat their homes, and that I'm sure is putting extra work on the grid that you guys have in place. So, Brian, my question to you is what can folks do to maybe keep the costs down but still heat their home efficiently?
Yeah, no doubt. Thinking about how we keep our bills down. So, for starters, think, okay, you are going to have to use some to get through this cold snap. But what we want you to do is not forcing your heart need to. Adjusting your gaps around your doors and windows. Keep that warm air inside, keep cold air outside.
Oh, Brian,
Yeah.
I feel like the Arctic air got to your cell phone signal because unfortunately we're kind of only catching every other word, but I know you are embarking us with so much wisdom right now, and maybe we can get that signal stronger soon here.
Yeah, Brian, can you hear me? Are you still there?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and
Oh, we're having you break up. So if you're on a cell phone, maybe you can call back on a landline. That might
Who
work.
has landlines, Tanner?
Hey, landlines are just fine.
I want to know how many of you watching at home have a landline to call in from.
We have a landline here at the station.
That's true. That's true. We also have like boxes from the 1800s in the basement.
Brian, we do want to get your tips though, Brian. So if we can try to work that
Yes.
out, we have our amazing producer Maddie Hardwick in the booth helping us out. So Maddie and Brian, if you guys can kind of powwow and try and get us back on track.
Troubleshoot that. But
Yeah.
thank you so much for joining us while you could. All right, let's go back to talk about some weather here
Yes.
because you know, this is a lot. It's a lot to process. I want to talk more about snowfall totals and the alerts that we've got. So let's go ahead. We'll take computer one. This is a look at our snowfall map. We've got 1 to 3 inches for those of you extending northbound US 131 north of I-96. So that's going to be the zone that by 7 a.m. tomorrow morning, I'm not concerned about, right? If you see school closures, it's not going to be because of snowfall totals, right? It's going to be because of the cold air mass at play. Now, we've got stretching from Ludington down through Hart, Muskegon, Ottawa County, extending through Holland, Allegan, Wayland, Dorr, over to Hastings, and then back up through the Kent County region. Our typical areas in Kent County that see a lot of snowfall usually extend through Sparta and a northern band. We also usually typically see Wyoming, Kentwood, and Byron Center all kind of get a good cluster of snowfall going on there. Those are the areas highlighted in purple, right? That's going to be your widespread 6 inches of snow. Will we likely see higher than 6-inch amounts? Yes. Let me show you guys a little something here. So this is a map that I don't ever really show on air because there's way too much going on
I think you should show it.
I'm going to show it. I'm going to show it. I'm going for it today, Tanner Colton. So this is a really hyper-local view, and this is our northern zone. I'll do the southern zone in a second, so don't worry, I won't leave you out. Yes, it's really small. It's really detailed. Is it perfect? No, right? This is a model run. This is not going to be exactly the amount of snowfall that you see, but it does really go to show the fine scale nature of some of these bands, right? So by 7 o'clock tonight, it's giving Kentwood the 3-inch mark. It's giving Hudsonville the 3-inch mark of snowfall. A little bit further north up towards Cedar Creek, it's giving you 3+ inches. Muskegon, 2.5 inches. Keep playing it out into early tomorrow morning, and this is when you really start to notice where those bands intensify and how they kind of start to taper off as they push further inland. You start to get places like Coopersville, Allendale, stretching through Grand Rapids, even potentially as far east as Ada, which typically kind of escapes the brunt of the snowfall. Seeing those bands extending that far inland, now we're talking 7-8 inches of snow, and I'm only sitting at 6 a.m.
Well, hold on. Before you move on,
Yeah.
can I ask a quick question? So when we're
Yeah.
getting like snowfall totals like this, you know, and it's actively falling,
Mm-hmm.
what are our freeways doing? You know, people on 31, people on 131, people along I-196, 96, 94. What is that doing to visibility when we're seeing snowfall totals? This is exactly what we're talking about. I believe this is 196 through downtown GR.
Okay, yeah, so we saw earlier Aaron and Doug clearly in a break in the lake effect snow, and that sometimes can be the case. You're driving for 10, 20 minutes, not seeing anything, and then you get in these very dusty, that's like kind of my best way to describe it. It's so fine, it almost is like a little puff of snow that flies at your car, but it's white out, right? You can't see when you're driving through that, and it can get really scary. So it's a powdery snow, it's gonna blow, it's not going to grab your wheels and spin you around in a circle because there's so much snow piled up. That's just not the nature of this type of snowfall. Obviously, you could, of course, slip and slide and spin out because of the ice that's accumulating on the roads. But yeah, it's not that heavy, wet, dense snow.
I was mentioning earlier driving back from Indiana yesterday, you know, and I was on 196 coming back up to GR here, and I think one of the things that I had the most trouble with was what you were describing, whiteout conditions. And when we're seeing whiteout conditions, I cannot see the car in front of me, and if I can only see the brake lights. So I think that's where we get ourselves into a little bit of trouble because we're going how we think we should be on an interstate highway or a freeway system like that. Exactly what we're seeing like this. When you're on the ground level, it's very, very tough to see.
Absolutely. So yeah, that's the type of visibility you're going to see. Turn your headlights on, even if it's in the daylight, because that can really help. A lot of times we all have those automatic car sensors now. We forget whether the lights are on or they're off. Turn them on. That will really help the car in front of you be able to see. But let's go back here to our snowfall map because I want to give the southern zone. This is where it kind of starts to get a little nasty on us in terms of how much snowfall we could potentially see. So this is 4 o'clock tonight. Okay. We're fine. We can handle this by 4 p.m. 1 inch to 1.5 inches, 2 inches of snow potentially. We start to play it out a little bit further, and we're seeing those heavier lake effect snow bands by the time we hit 1, 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, set up for Allegan, set up for Dorr, Caledonia, Middleville, and that's where we start to really reach into that 7-8 inch range of snow. And again, these bands, let me go on the broader view here so we're not looking at such a tight shot. These bands, they're pushing further inland. That's because of the winds. The winds are strengthening out of the west. They're dragging those bands further in, and that's going to continue to be the case through portions of today. The winds typically relax during the overnight hours, kind of causes those lake effect snow bands to recede inland, and then they start to drag back out again once the sun peaks up, and it kind of causes the wind gradient to intensify. And that would be the case with that. So this is our snowfall in terms of lake effect this week. Let me pull up a model here to show you, because we do have a quick clipper system that's actually going to sneak down post this lake effect event. So hour by hour forecast featuring the lake effect snowfall continuing on across the mitten today and tomorrow. It tapers off Tuesday night. Now watch off to the north of us, right? Watch through Wisconsin. Watch as this clipper system starts to shoot down. It is going to hit us with a little bit of snow. Mainly, it looks like north of 96. I don't expect it to extend too far south of 96 at this point, but it is kind of creeping down a little bit now in the latest model run. That will likely be another 1 to 3 inches of snow, Cole, and that will be different kind of snow that's falling.
Exactly. It'll be kind of similar to a couple Fridays ago when Muskegon got hit the hardest. Usually when there's that southwest wind, when a clipper moves through like that, Muskegon up toward Oceana County and even Mason County usually gets the heaviest of the snow.
Okay, so you're our Muskegon guy, our Muskegon guru, born and raised in Muskegon. Remind the viewers of that. Remind them like what it was like to grow up. There we go, live look over Muskegon. What was it like? Because I grew up on the east side of the state, so we didn't see snow like this. I mean, I fell in love with forecasting it, but I never experienced lake effect snow like this on the east side of the state growing up.
Yeah, for sure. In Muskegon, it's a different story. It's a different animal for sure. I remember when I was a kid, when there was one night Muskegon got like 14 inches of snow, I think around Christmas time in 2017.
Okay.
We got 14 inches of snow in one night, and I was actually staying at my grandma's house that night. And it was just brutal. Like, could barely get outside.
It's one of those core memories that you probably
have,
though, right?
And it didn't slow Santa down any. And that's really what matters, is that he's got the sleigh, and it probably made it better. Rudolph probably liked it, all the things.
Exactly. And it was basically that way with Halloween of a couple years ago, or last year. That was that Halloween.
Yeah, hold on, I was going to say, this is a very sore subject for Sam. For Sam Jacks.
This was like the one event. Oh, yeah. Blake Hansen and I, we sat in the Weather Center and we were looking at the model runs and we were laughing. I mean, just like this. We were like, come on, 12 inches, okay. This model's off its rocker. Like, and I'm like, and it's bullseyeing Muskegon. And we went to leave that day and I looked at Blake and I said, see you tomorrow for winter weather coverage. And he was like, it's not gonna happen. And I was like, if it does, we're in for a mess. It happened. It was just Muskegon. Everywhere else was fine. Power outages, trees falling down.
That snow is concrete.
I think that's also a testament, though, to just how hard forecasting lake effect snow is. Can you guys talk about the process that you go through to forecast snow? I mean, you do a wide-ranging area from, you know, Ludington all the way south towards Benton Harbor is the area that you guys have to cover, right?
Yeah, there's a ton of finesse to it, I will say. Going to school at Central Michigan University, that helped a ton in terms of learning how to forecast for lake effect snow, and I know you feel the same way with Valpo. A ton of finesse to it. You have to really, really, know the landscape of the area that you're forecasting for, because the way the winds are coming in and the direction that they're blowing, the difference in temperature from the upper levels to the surface to the water temperature all may and play a huge role in what's going to happen at the surface. And then the type of snow that's going to come down. You need to know, and this is kind of where I see a lot of meteorologists get caught in the forecasting game of lake effect snow. You need to know the snowfall ratios. That's super important in forecasting lake effect snow. An event like this, where the snowfall ratio is super fine, causes snow to come down at a faster rate than a heavy wet snow that compacts down. If you don't adjust your models and adjust your grid and adjust your forecasting for that, you're going to have the wrong numbers. And that's why sometimes you see different forecasts between meteorologists. But when you grow up in this market, or you know, I started my job up in northern Michigan in Cadillac, that threw me right into the fire in terms of learning how to forecast lake effect snow.
They get way more than we do here. So.
Yeah, that was like, I would cry on my way to work every day.
Like, oh, here we go. Oh, here we go.
It's so scary, the roads were. But you do learn, and it's just a lot. There's a lot that goes into it.
Yeah, it goes with experience too, especially if you grow up in this area and you've seen so many little lake effect events, and
Yeah.
that definitely helps. So
Yeah, and you see the areas that you know, you're like, yeah, you're never really gonna get it. Sorry. Like, you're gonna have to listen to us talk about it all the time, but it probably won't ever be you. But we've also seen with our change in our climate and the change in Lake Michigan and how warm it's getting, we're seeing our lake effect snow events last super long. It used to be where like you hit February 2nd and lake effect snow was done. The water was too cold at that point, that you didn't get the contrast between the upper level air mass and the surface water temperature, and without that contrast, lake effect snow shuts off.
yeah,
But-
exactly.
You know, if we don't freeze the lakes,
Yeah.
then that doesn't happen.
So, Sam, I'm going to run down a couple of stories that we're following right now weather-wise. And
Okay.
while I do that, I want you to come back over here to the anchor desk with me because we're going to we're going to chat a little bit more. But first, I want to talk about what we are following right now. So I'm looking at Blake Hansen, one of our meteorologists here. He is reporting numerous slide-offs and accidents in the Grand Rapids area alone. Of course, you know, we've had several crashes on many of our area freeways. Right now, I'm looking at the MDOT map, and I'm showing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, possibly a 7th incident on the freeways here in Grand Rapids. Here's a live look at who we call Traffic Dave. These are his maps, you
at
see.
Dave,
Yeah.
13 traffic.
There you go.
Oh, that's a hot mess.
Yeah, slow going right now. So this is what we're dealing with on the roads. Of course, if we could take a couple of our road cameras, that would be great because that would actually paint the picture. Slow going. This is near the S curve in downtown Grand Rapids. So this is kind of like where that weird spaghetti interchange is, like with 131 and 196. All
My
of those.
least favorite part to
I
drive through when
know.
headed into work, because people whip around that curve and it gets so dangerous so quickly. But notice, you do see 2 lanes. Oh.
That's live, by
Yeah,
the way.
that
This is
doesn't
from our
look
Walker
good.
camera.
That's the S-curve.
That's the S-curve.
Woo! It looks great. Perfect driving conditions.
Is the S curve in the room with us?
I don't see it.
Yeah, I don't see it.
Yeah, not good.
I don't see it.
So southbound US 131 right now, stretching from Grand Rapids down through Kalamazoo, does look to be the worst in terms of where we're seeing a lot of accidents.
Yeah.
Hopefully maybe we can get some reports from the newsroom in terms of like what accidents, where those accidents are actually at, and we
Yep.
can get you guys that information.
So I do have my email pulled up here. And again, we are streaming right now on 13 Plus. If you're just joining us, it's about 10:36 in the morning. We're reporting to you live because we do have an active winter weather scenario.
Yes.
And that includes heavy lake effect snow at some times for areas not only just along the lake shore, but for here in the Grand Rapids metro. But we also have bitterly cold temperatures outside. In some areas, the feels like it's not even getting above 0. I would say that's pretty much all of us, right?
Yeah, widespread right now. Everybody's feels like temperatures are sub-zero. So we've got our 13 weather impact alert at play. It's a combination of conditions
Yeah.
that caused us to issue this, the cold temperatures and the lake effect snow that's coming down.
If we can take the weather chaser real quick, which show conditions down. This is headed toward Kalamazoo. There's Erin Sullivan. She's getting ready to talk to us live again here very shortly. I'm trying to get their location, which, let's see. So they were headed towards Kalamazoo last time I checked. They are on eastbound 94, just past the Hartford exit. And thank God for Find My Phone or Find My Friends, because our chief photographer, Doug, he
He's
shared his
tracking 'em.
location with us, and so we can track where exactly he is at. So again, 94 Hartford, he is headed towards Kalamazoo. And I'm going
Okay.
to tell you why he's headed toward Kalamazoo, folks, because on I-94 early this morning, there was a crash that happened near the 83-mile marker, and this is all according to the Kalamazoo County Sheriff's Office. They sent us a release earlier this morning that on westbound I-94, a truck had gone off the road and hit a power pole. So while firefighters were out there trying to clean up the scene, assess the situation, and be first responders, you know, their job, there was another car that was uninvolved with this first crash that actually hit a Comstock fire truck. If you remember, Comstock Fire is the same department that had another truck hit just a few weeks ago.
Yeah, and we had that really scary video
Yes.
of that happening, the firefighters running. That was that one, right, where the firefighters were kind of running off to the side
Yes.
in the ditch area. Not good.
So, a very scary scenario. Again, right now, our photojournalist Doug Grevious and reporter Erin Sullivan in the Weather Chaser, they are headed towards Kalamazoo to try and catch up with some of the folks at Comstock Fire to chat not only unfortunately, about that scary incident this morning. It happened in the early morning hours, so no sunlight. Very scary for them, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But not only that, they're going to chat about just, you know, active scenes in general. What are the best practices?
What are you supposed to do? You know, when you only have, especially in the morning hours, one lane to drive down anyway, then you've got the accident to the right of you. Are you supposed to try to swerve off and go around it? Are you supposed to just really slow down as much as you can? Those are the questions that we're going to get answered for you. And one thing that Director Rory did notice about that weather chaser shot was that they had their hazard lights on. The
Okay.
semi-truck did. So, you know, the weather chaser always looks like it's going faster than it is. It's never actually going that fast. It's just sometimes the way that the image shows up on our end. So I imagine if Erin is there and she's able to chat with us, maybe she can link us in and loop us in on how quickly they are going.
That guy's going way too fast.
That's my least favorite when I
He
get
is going
passed by a semi.
way too fast. Erin, we see you there. Can you hear us? Yeah, she says
I can
she
hear
agrees.
you.
Yeah.
How's it going, guys?
So that guy that just passed you is an example of what not to do right now.
100%. And Sam said earlier, you know, we're going to ask questions like, what do we do? Do we slow down? Yeah, slow down, especially because we're seeing so many people just fly around us. I mean, even this guy in front of us is probably going like 25. We're going about 25 right now. But even when it's not light out, people are just going way over 70, and in a lot of cases the visibility is so bad, and I don't know why they make those decisions, but it makes it hazardous for everyone around them. And so definitely slow down no matter what time of the day it is. If there's snowy conditions on the roads, don't speed.
Yeah.
That's all I've got to say on that.
I'm going to be
So,
honest, you know, I
be careful.
grew up in Coldwater, so about 45 minutes south of 94, traveled on 94 a lot growing up in between that Battle Creek Kalamazoo corridor. It is a mess through there, especially when we get something like snow involved, slippery roads involved. I mean, what highway are we talking about all the time that always has an accident on it? It's I-94.
Yeah.
And I understand that there are people that, you know, they have the big maxed out trucks, right? That they feel as if they can just go 100 miles an hour. Not that you should, that's not what we want you to do, obviously. But, you know, they feel as if they can just do whatever they want on the road and zoom right past you.
Yes.
There are scared people on the road. Not only that, but it's just unsafe. It is. I think that is something that people just need to heed with caution is when you're on 94, because those are tight constraints moving through there. I don't know if you've been on 94 recently, but it's very tight through there.
Yeah, and when you whip by like that, it reduces visibility, right? You kick up that snow even faster. It causes you to experience, as the car that you're passing, whiteout conditions, and then you kind of put both of your lives at risk. It's also not safe to go too slow either, right?
Yeah.
So you kind of really, I think that's one thing every Michigan driver learns is that you have to find that good balance, because if you start to get people on the expressway that are only going 15 miles per hour in the middle lane, then that's a different type of hazard too. So keeping it kind of just at that right pace. And right now, road crews are doing their best.
Yes.
And I always say this after growing up on the east side of the state, and no shame to the east side, but man, does West Michigan do road cleanup well.
Yeah, they do a really good job.
They know how to get the roads cleaned up quickly,
Well, so
but that's probably not the easiest when it's frozen like this.
You're chatting about road crews, and I have the MDOT map pulled up, and it actually will show you live where their road crews are at. So I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 road crews in between Benton Harbor. Oh, there's the map there. In between Benton Harbor all the way through Battle Creek on 94. So actively on 94.
Because they know that's the trouble spot. They're
Yep.
working through it. Yeah, you can see the congested roadways there just to the south of, oh gosh,
Yeah, I
it's
know.
never good when you start to see all the red and all the orange coming together in one spot. You know there's an accident, and that is where Erin and Doug are headed towards right now.
Before we move on, we're going to talk about heating in the cold. We're going to talk about heater safety here in a second, but I have one more question for Erin if she can still hear us. Erin, you know, on 94, you've been on that for a pretty long stretch. So you started on Highway 31, got on 94, and now you're headed toward Kalamazoo. So you've been on 94 for probably a good 30 minutes now. What has been your experience so far on 94? Again, this is that trouble spot that we see time and time again.
I would say things are going well right now. Doug and I have even been talking about just the difference that the daylight has made for us. I think with visibility too, especially because earlier the snow was really coming down, and like Sam's been saying, this is very fine snow. It's almost like dust. So when you have people flying past us in the left lane, that is when things get most dangerous. Also seeing some trailers on the semis kind of swerve from the snowy road conditions and almost hitting cars next to them. Those are the biggest hazards we've seen. We're not seeing them right now. I mean, as you can see, people are going very slow right now. Definitely taking it slow for the most part, besides that box truck that just passed us about like 5 minutes ago. But overall, I think people are driving a little bit better now that it is the daytime, aside from that guy right there. But I would say conditions are getting better because you can see now. It's so scary in the morning when it's dark out. But yeah, Tanner, I would say the answer is better.
All right. Well, that is good news. Better is always good. But again, oh, there goes another person flying right by you. All right. Just take it slow. And of course, you know your own limits. But when we get 94 clogged up like that, not only that, with the snow and ice involved, it's a big yikes. And luckily, they're not seeing the conditions that we're seeing right now in Walker as we point the camera toward Grand Rapids. So we'll get to that here in just a second. But first, let's talk about heating safety, because not only are we dealing with lake effect snow, we're talking about the cold that we're experiencing. And when it gets as cold as we're experiencing now, people might look for ways to supplement their heat. So we spoke with the Grand Rapids Fire Department about how to do that safely. So take a look at your screen here. These are some tips that we've acquired from them. First, use a space heater, but plug it directly into the wall. Don't use an extension cord. Also, you're going to want to look at the heater's cord and make sure it's in really good condition and not frayed. You also want to make sure you turn it off before you go to sleep. That way, you know exactly what it's doing. And finally, they say it is never a good idea to use your oven to warm up your home.
They don't have the same type of safety mechanisms that we have in portable space heaters, and they will just continue to run and will burn themselves up. So in that process, anything that's in that area, your cabinetry, other combustibles you have in your kitchen, they're going to take off, they're going to add fuel to your fire.
And of course, if you have a wood-burning fireplace, the fire department says don't use newspaper to start it. That could cause a fire in your chimney. And finally, they want to recommend to people that you need to check your smoke detectors regularly. All right, so at 10:46, we are continuing our coverage here on 13 Plus. We want to go to breaking news right now on the roads. Of course, we were just talking about the roads. This looks like a gnarly situation. This is I-96 under Alpine Avenue. This looks like several cars involved, and I'm going to actually get up from my seat so I can take a closer look at this monitor here. Yeah, it looks like we have, I'm going to say at least a dozen cars, and we've got about at least 3 semis involved. And then you can see past Alpine. So on the upper part of your screen, you see the Alpine exit to 96 and 131, and then you see the 2 lanes behind that all backed up. Yeah, it is bumper to bumper.
You see a lot of people out of their cars too. Do we know, producer Maddie in the back, do we know it's shut down? This always makes me worried that then you start to see the trickle effect. We don't know yet.
If it's shut
hopefully
down.
that gets shut down. There's a lot of people standing outside their cars, and this is where that cold weather safety comes to play. So when you, let's see here, we're getting.
Well, I want to point out to everybody, these are the eastbound lanes. So you're seeing cars that are facing west.
No,
so
that's not good.
Clear spinouts here, perhaps. You have 3 semis involved at least. You have at least a dozen cars involved as well. Again, eastbound I-96, just under Alpine. We're zooming in here. It looks like we have an ambulance there as well, and a tow truck.
And a tow truck, yeah.
Okay, so of course, first responders are at this scene. They're actively trying to help the folks that are involved in this. Of course, we send our best to them. And again, we, of course, are hoping for the best for those first responders there.
And this is never the situation you want to be stuck in. I talked a lot this morning, Tanner, about making sure that if you're getting in your car this morning, no matter if it's to run to McDonald's, to drop the kids off to school, or simply to head to work, that you need to be dressed properly, because how quickly you can end up in a situation like this. Now you're having to get out of your car. Wind chill values are sitting -10 to -20. 30 minutes exposed skin, frostbite, or hypothermia.
unfortunately, I am hearing, you can see on the right side of your screen an overturned box truck. And then there's a semi that you see that is a truck under the semi. So this is a very, very gnarly accident, folks. If you are coming in from Muskegon and headed toward GR, or if you're headed toward this way, it is just a brutal accident that's happened on I-96. And we were just talking about roads with Erin. She's on I-94, but I mean, the same still applies here. You gotta know
how quickly this can happen.
these things change. How quickly these things change. We have a reporter, Jeremiah Brown, is on the way, so we're gonna check in with him.
Nearly 10 cars involved.
Yeah.
Ambulance is on the scene, and then again, I can't stress enough that now those people, those cars, those first responders are now stuck outside in these dangerous cold temperatures.
And we're talking not even reaching the double digits. We're talking feels likes in the negatives here.
Yeah.
And to your point, you know, I like to have, or actually I don't, in my car right now, I don't have a blanket. I don't have any of those things. But I
Tell
know.
me these things, Tanner.
But it now
Stress
makes
me
you
out.
think that, you know, you need to have your action plan in place.
Absolutely.
So
you need to have so many things in your car. Okay, we just got a report eastbound lanes from that accident have since been closed. Right now, counting about 10 cars that were involved in the accident itself. We've got a semi-truck on top of another vehicle, several semi-trucks that have spun off the road, a tow truck out there removing one car from the scene, and multiple ambulances on scene as well.
It's a pretty gnarly accident. We do have a lot involved there. We saw ambulances pulling away with lights on. We can assume sirens, I guess, but I mean, they're going to be, as much as they're rushing them to the hospital, a pretty slow go to the area hospitals here as well. Okay, it is 10:50. We're going to continue our team coverage right now on 13 Plus of the winter weather situation happening right now, which is the bitter cold temperatures outside, as well as lake effect snow across West Michigan. We have meteorologist Colton Woods standing by. Colton, what's the latest forecast out there?
It's definitely a cold one, Tanner. Wind chills below 0 right now, and the actual air temperature is very cold as well. If we switch it over to Max 1, please, the 13 weather ball is blue. We do have cooler temperatures in view. It's also blinking bright. We do have that snow shower activity that will continue for the rest of the day, right into Wednesday as well. The National Weather Service has issued winter weather advisories. That goes through Wednesday at 1 a.m. I wouldn't be shocked if that gets extended as well, especially to the north part of the viewing area, especially from Muskegon into Newaygo County as well. Oceana also probably seeing some snow into Wednesday. This is a live look right now in Walker, a very scary scene right now across the region with a pileup currently ongoing. Wind chills below 0 with the temperature of 7 degrees. That is why the car crashes are definitely going to be ongoing across the region, because the salt really is not working across West Michigan. Throughout the rest of the day, you can see the webcams have shown lots of snow across the region in Holland, also at the Mackinac Bridge, in Grand Haven as well, as that cold Arctic air continues to funnel in across the region, allowing for that lake effect snow to flare up going into the rest of the day as well. Live look in Muskegon, visibility pretty poor, below a mile right now in Muskegon. Wind chill values of -8 with a pretty blustery wind still coming out of the west-northwest, bringing in those snow bands as well. The actual air temperature is 8 degrees, so everyone likely staying below 10 degrees today. The first time that has happened since 2019. Live look at the radar, you can see those snow bands are beginning to orient themselves more west to east as the winds shift out of the Pier West, which means those snow bands will go well inland, close to even Lansing right now. You can see on the latest scan, pushing those snow bands close to Lansing. But everyone along the lakeshore seeing some moderate to even heavy snow at times, allowing for visibility to crash below a mile across the region. Zooming in on those lakeshore counties, you can see extending from South Haven through Holland, along US 31 toward Grand Haven, and also into Muskegon County. Some moderate to even heavy snow continuing to stack up. Allegan and also Ottawa counties probably seeing the most snow over the next couple of days, even in portions of southwest Kent County right now, even just north of Kalamazoo. The other story is also the wind gusts. It's pretty breezy out there. That will continue through at least Tuesday night. You can see wind gusts along the lakeshore through this evening, generally around 30 miles per hour, which means the wind chill will be pretty low as well, continuing through the rest of the day. Hour by hour, you can see snow showers will likely continue throughout the rest of the day as these strong winds just blow those lake-effect snow showers well inland, even as far as the other side of Michigan toward Pontiac and Flint. They could also see some lake-effect snow. Definitely not as much snow as we will see here in West Michigan, but the snow showers will continue along I-96 through Monday evening going into Tuesday morning still. Morning commute tomorrow probably similar to what we saw today, if not worse, as the lake-effect snow will continue, and road treatment really won't do a whole lot as these cold temperatures will continue. You can see through noon today, expect a general ½ inch to maybe an inch of snow, so really not a whole lot snow through this afternoon, but it will start to stack up this evening through 5 p.m. probably 1 to 2 inches, isolated 3-inch amounts, and then by the time we get to Tuesday morning, widespread 5, 6, 7 inches of snow will be likely, especially in the bullseye region of southern Muskegon, Ottawa, and also into Kent counties. In northern Allegan County, they will likely see the most snow with the westerly wind belts moving the heaviest snow in those regions. This is through Tuesday evening into Wednesday morning. You can see widespread along the lakeshore. Over 6 inches of snow will be likely by the time we get to Wednesday, even amounts close to 10 inches in Muskegon, points of the north, and then more snow is expected by the time we get to Wednesday morning with the Clipper system moving in on a southwest wind. This is how much snow we are expecting through Tuesday morning, a widespread 6 inches in the purple, including Grand Rapids, Muskegon, and Holland, and over 10 inches of snow will be possible in those localized areas. But for now, we're going to send it back to Tanner to send to a break.
All right, Colton, thank you so much. Good info there. Okay, so like you just heard, we are going to go for a quick 5-minute break to just kind of reset and re-engage what we're doing here. If you are joining us, though, it's 10:54. We have continuing coverage right here on 13 Plus of the bitter cold temperatures outside. We're also talking about the lake effect snow impacting our region. We're also tracking breaking news right now in the Grand Rapids Metro, a gnarly accident on I-96 eastbound. Avoid that area just around Alpine Avenue. Traffic is already backed up. The eastbound lanes are closed. We're going to have a live report coming up in the next hour. We're also going to check in with our weather chaser headed towards Kalamazoo right now to chat about a fire truck that was actually hit this morning while they were responding to an incident. That's all coming up at the top of the hour at 11 a.m. We'll be back in about 5 minutes.
This is a 13 Weather Impact Alert.
11 a.m. We are right here streaming live on 13 Plus to talk about this winter weather event happening. We have very, very cold temperatures. We also have lake effect snow currently inhibiting travel on some of our area freeways. In fact, we want to bring you right now to breaking news on I-96. This is the eastbound lanes currently shut down right at Alpine Avenue. So whenever we can, let's take that live shot full. This is a live look at that crash happening right now. We have several emergency crews on the scene. What we do know is that there are possibly up to 20 cars involved.
Yes.
And that is according to Kent County dispatchers. I'm trying to get to my information right now, but let's see. We've got, multiple crashes in that area, possibly up to 20 cars, reports of injuries. Right now, we do have a reporter, Jeremiah Brown. He's working his way out there. Again, this is right outside the station. We're just trying to get them into a good position.
Safe situation, too.
Yeah.
We don't want them out there on Alpine. We know situations like this, 20 cars now, we could see that continue to pile up when you have people racing in on the expressway and then having to come to a complete halt. Based on what we could see from the image, we saw a semi-truck on top of another car.
Yep.
So that's going to, we're likely going to get some serious injuries out of this situation. We've seen one car get towed away, multiple ambulances on the scene. And Tanner, this is kind of the worst situation that you could find yourself in when we are talking about the temperatures that we are.
Well, it's devastating, you know, because it is a Monday morning, fresh start to the week, and we're already starting it off with a crash like this.
Yes, and look how quickly that snow is piling up. There were 2 lanes when we first looked at this 10 minutes ago. Can't see any lanes.
We see many semi-trucks involved. You see one there in kind of the ditch area on the upper part of your
tilted
screen.
Up sideways.
There's a box truck. We see another
Flipped
box
over.
truck on its side. There's another semi right behind that box truck on the left. And again, people just outside of the vehicle, I'm assuming first responders or folks that may have been involved. I think what is very prudent here, or what we should take away from this, is that this is the time, folks, to stay safe on the roads, to drive slowly. You don't know how quickly those roads can change. If you think you have that big souped up car that will make it in there, sometimes things like this turn out.
You can end up in this situation.
Yeah, and
we're
not saying that that's what happened here, but
right,
you know,
we don't know exactly what played out here, but what we do know is that the intensity of these lake effect snow bands are going to vary on a mile-to-mile basis, right? You're going to have situations where you're kind of smooth sailing, you gain your confidence because you're seeing clearly, you might even have a pocket of sunshine that sneaks through.
And then visibility sneaks through.
Exactly,
you know,
and we see
reduced
that lake
visibility.
effect snow start to blow, it starts to dust up. When you're passing people on the roadways, it gets even worse. And of course, because of all of these case scenarios, we've got our 13 weather impact alert at play today. We have winter weather advisories right now in effect. Those remain in effect until 1 o'clock on your Wednesday morning. So this is a multi-day event that we're going to see this lake effect snow continuing to form. As we head throughout the day today, not only are we going to continue to see snowfall coming down like in cases like this. This is a live look at our walker camera. We show this all the time, right? We show this walker camera at least once or twice a morning, but we also are going to continue to see changing conditions and winds starting to intensify. This is a live look over Muskegon where we've got that flag just blowing, and it's because our winds are picking up in intensity. It's because they're growing in strength that we're seeing these bands drift further and further inland. Taking a look right now at our satellite and radar, we saw consistently throughout your Sunday and into early Monday morning these northwesterly winds. Now the bands are shifting to out of the west-northwest as we see that little tilt in the direction, and we're starting to see the strength in the winds right now sustained out of just the west at 12 miles per hour. We are going to continue to see those bands gradually make their way further inland, and you can see from our MDOT cameras across West Michigan that some roadways looking to be pretty empty. We've got 96 at 11th mile. I think that's what that says. The font is so small there. 112th Avenue. Sorry. We've got US 131 at Hall Street. You can see there are a couple lanes available, but got that dusting of snow on them. And then, of course, our accident there in Walker. A tighter shot of our satellite and radar here featuring those couple of lake effect snow bands that certainly are gaining a little bit of oomph, a little bit of strength to them, and now pushing right through that 96 corridor and then stopping just before for the 94 corridor at this time. We will continue to see this set up like this all throughout the day today. And watch as our winds continues to remain sustained anywhere from 10 to 20 miles per hour, gusting 25 to even 30 miles per hour. Hour by hour future view forecast here is going to show that these bands are going to gain enough oomph to them, enough energy to them, that they could potentially extend from Holland, Michigan over to Flint and into the Pontiac area as well. We do not typically see lake effect snow bands that expand across the entire state, but when you get the setup that's just right and you get this intense cold air mass at play, we're talking temperatures sitting in the single digits, and we're talking feels like conditions -10 to -20. It creates this beautiful contrast between the lake itself and the air temperature. And when you have that contrast, it continues to be fueled. The moisture gets lifted up off the lake, it gets elevated into the clouds, and then it gets drug across land. And as it does so, the clouds don't hold on to it anymore. It produces the lake effect snow, right? Now, when we have really cold temperatures, we don't see a ton of water content in the snow itself, which is what makes the snow so fine, so dusty, awesome for shoveling. It's not going to be that heavy, wet, dense snow that none of us like to shovel. This is going to be very fine and light. But on the other end of that, that means it's going to blow, it's going to drift, and it's going to make driving conditions even more difficult. Now, of course, when we talk about snowfall totals, I want to slow it down for you and show you how much snow we're going to see time from time. But again, I don't think with this event that the totals are what matter so much. What matters is that we're going to see accidents on the roadways like what we just saw there on eastbound 96 because of the blowing and drifting snow. But regardless, we've got about another ½ an inch that's going to fall between now and noon, so within the next hour or so. By the time we hit 5 o'clock tonight, another 1 to 3 inches of snow. Overnight tonight, we start to see those bands really intensify late this evening. They will weaken as we head into the early morning hours, but here's where we start to pick up our localized intense pockets of snowfall, and that most likely will set up in the Ottawa County region, extending into eastern Kent County as well, and northern Allegan County. That's where I expect us to see snowfall totals ranging from 6 to even 10 inches, possibly a couple higher pockets that we get from a 24-hour snowfall total in Ottawa County as well as Allegan County. And the reason that I mentioned those two counties is it's been snowing there since we all woke up this morning, and I wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning, so it's been snowing for quite some time there. It's not going to stop at 7 a.m. Tuesday morning. No, this is going to keep playing out as we head into your Wednesday as well, and then a quick clipper system is going to shoot down behind it. We've got west-northwesterly winds. That's the orientation of them. They're going to kind of slip back to the northwest just a little bit during those overnight hours, but the areas highlighted in purple, if you are along and to the west of US 131, 96 corridor, and to the south, you are a shoo-in to get at least 6 inches of snowfall with isolated pockets closer to 10 inches. We've got our winter weather advisories at play today, but it's not just a winter weather advisory that we're dealing with. We also have our cold air advisory at play as well. That's because of our negative wind chill values, and that is not just for us here in West Michigan. That is extending across the entire state of Michigan that we're seeing those really cold temperatures. 13 on your side, 7-day forecast showing off that we have our 13 weather impact alert today, tomorrow, the first half of Wednesday as well. In fact, Tanner, I actually think that our coldest air that we're going to experience is going to be early Wednesday morning. We're sitting at actual temperatures of potentially -4 degrees. And you factor in the winds, it's likely going to be -20 to -25 outside.
Yikes. Okay, so we want to give you a quick update on the crash that is happening right now on I-96. We should mention, we now know that there are 2 separate crashes on I-96.
Wow, okay.
So this is the first. This is I-96 at Alpine Avenue. Multiple cars involved. We are looking at potentially many injuries here. We also want to bring your attention to I-96 at 131, so just down the road. So in this 1.5-mile stretch, there are 2 accidents. At this point, we are working to get a live report with Jeremiah Brown. He is safely trying to get into a location that he can report live to us. But again, if you're unfamiliar with Alpine Avenue and that stretch of I-96, there really are no sidewalks around.
No.
So there's really not a great place for him to be able to stand and tell us what's going on. So as soon as we get that report to you, we will bring that live to you. I want to shout out to some other accidents that we have on the board. M6 at 131, I believe it's actually 131 at M6. There's an incident there as well.
Okay.
So it does seem like this lake effect snow is causing some issues out on the roads. Another place where you might see some dicey spots on I-94. We have been tracking the Weather Chaser all morning long. Aaron Sullivan is live in the Weather Chaser along with our photographer, Doug Grevious. Aaron, good morning to you. I know as soon as we hopped off of your live shot about 30 minutes ago, you went right through a white stretch of snow there. What are you seeing right now as you're headed towards Kalamazoo?
Tanner, for sure. Well, I want to start off by saying what our camera is picking up right now, it looks a lot worse in person. So if you're thinking, what is she talking about? She's being dramatic. No, this is really scary, especially after hearing you guys report of that pileup. We're not surprised at all. Based on what we're seeing, some of these trucks that are passing us and that are in front of us, it's almost like they completely vanish. It's so difficult to see right now. And we are traveling east on 194. We're going a bit more towards Kalamazoo. And just the whiteout conditions, it's like every 5 minutes it's a little different. So we always have something a little bit different to report on. But overall, I would say we've been saying to slow down all morning long. Right now, my advice to you at home, don't leave the house. Just don't go out on the roads. It's really not worth it. It's dangerous. You don't know what you're going to get yourself into and what other people on the road, how they're going to drive around you. We did about 5 minutes ago see a hit and run. We didn't see it happen, but the car was on the side of the road with their front end off, and it's definitely, it's not something to take lightly. Just stay home. That's my advice for you, but definitely not good conditions out on the road, to no one's surprise.
Yeah, I think that's good advice. Stay home if you can. I know a lot of folks were out of school this morning,
Yes.
not only because of MLK Day, but also because of the snowy conditions that we have in West Michigan. And I know that stretch of 94, it can get pretty dicey. So they're actually just now entering Kalamazoo. We're also now hearing about another crash on I-196.
My goodness, they just seem to keep piling up.
I know. Well, this is not 96. This is the Ford Freeway, and so
Okay,
this
here we
is
go. You
looking
can
live at
see.
it right now. And I'm. Would this be closer to downtown? I'm assuming. So this is 96 then.
And you can see that car went right through the guardrail on the side. Thankfully, it stopped. It didn't keep sliding down there. It looks like we've got a pickup truck that's pulling some sort of.
It looks like just one of those trailers,
Yeah,
like a U-Haul
trailers
or
on
a
the
box
back.
trailer.
Oh, goodness. I always feel so bad when you see stuff. But here's what we're seeing right now, a combination of things that I want. What's different right now between now and, let's say, 7 a.m. this morning? One, our lake effect snow bands are intensifying. We're seeing whiteout conditions become more prevalent from active snowfall coming down. The other thing, Tanner, is that we are cold. I mean, we are the coldest we have been since 2019. Road crews, they're working hard, but there is only so much you can do when it is this cold outside. You start to get a fine layer of ice that just is inevitable. It's not going to go away. They can treat, but we are going to have a layer of ice no matter what, even if there's 2 lanes that are seemingly clear that have formed on the roads and are not going anywhere through at least the weekend.
Let's stick with this live shot for a second because you see this. Is this the S curve? Can someone confirm that for me? 131 and Pearl, which is very close to the S curve. You see folks taking it very slow on the northbound side of 131. So that would be the traffic headed toward the screen that you're looking at. Very, very slow, which is exactly how we want you to take it right now. I think when we think about roads, okay, so the accidents are just piling up. Yet another accident there on 131. So this is just the name of the game right now. If you're on the roads, stay safe and also go slow.
Slow down.
Yeah, speaking of the roads, we do have Steve Roan with the Kent County Road Commission with us, joining us via Zoom. So if Steve is on, can we bring him up? Hey, Steve, good morning to you. Good to see you this morning. I know that you guys are probably hard at work right now, and given the frequency of accidents we've had over the last hour, I mean, this is probably something that, we did expect because it happens every time we have a winter weather event like this in West Michigan. But Steve, my question to you is what are you guys working on right now to kind of help clear these roads off of the snow, the ice, what have you?
Yeah, good morning. We are out there working, trying to clear the roads, mostly using mechanical means. So we're trying to plow those roads, applying some abrasives behind what we clear, which is what we mostly know as sand. But on days like today, with the lake effect really picking up, providing some of those whiteout conditions, conditions really change almost right behind what we're out there doing. So it's one that we definitely want to slow down and drive for the conditions.
I think, when we have days like today, with the cold temperatures, we always talk about that pre-treatment never works in like the very, very cold temperatures. Can you explain why?
Well, all of our treatment products, that are going to use some form of salt, as they receive precipitation, they get diluted. And the storm we received now, with it being so cold, salt just isn't as effective down into these low temperatures. So the amount that we can put down even before or during storms just isn't effective and ends up probably providing a worse condition than better.
And of course, we're seeing right now these lake effect snow bands more intense in some areas than others. How does that play into how you guys tackle actually being able to keep up with the snow? You've got one area that even a little pocket of sunshine sneaks through, and then the next thing you know, whiteout conditions.
Yeah, it provides a huge challenge. Our men and women are out there really just doing loops. They're in runs that are theirs, assigned to for the day, and they're just making the progress they can per hour or every couple hours. And then when accidents occur and we get whiteout conditions, our response time is slow. Just like first responders, the emergency responders, it takes them longer to arrive at a scene. It takes us longer to get through our runs. So. We'd ask for everyone to try to slow down, exercise that due care and caution so everyone can get where they need to safely.
So, lake effect snow is expected to continue throughout much of the day into tomorrow as well. What does that process for you guys look like? What does the planning look like, and how will you guys go about the rest of your day?
Yeah, well, we're going to continue what we've been doing, and we've got upwards of 90 men and women on the road with our plow trucks. We're going to keep them out there, continuing to mechanically remove as much of the snow, the blowing, drifting snow that we can to keep the roads as passable as possible. Putting down a thin layer of abrasives, that sand behind it, to provide some traction. And we'll continue that into kind of post-rush. And then this evening, we'll bring in our night crew and continue at it again. The temperature's here for the next couple days. So we've got kind of more of the same for the next couple days here.
Tell us more about that sand that you're using, because that's kind of a bit different. Everyone always thinks of the salts coming down, but why sand?
Well, sand is just something we can put down there and it will stay in place. And we call it abrasives kind of in the industry. Most of the time we're using a sand. That sand can go down and kind of sit on that road and be a layer between maybe that icy road surface and the tires. We put that grit, that sand down there, and provide some traction. And we've got so much precipitation where the snow is coming down and blowing across. That also causes a bond change between that. So we're trying to just provide something that we can drive on to provide the best conditions possible.
What are some of the best practices for drivers out there today? What would you recommend to them? Of course, I know, putting on your four-wheel drive, if you've got it, is going to be one. I guess, what would you recommend to those drivers?
Yeah, one of the biggest things on a day like today is plan for your commute. Do some of the things that you don't want to use. Put that emergency kit in your vehicle so you've got the warm winter coat, the hats, the gloves, because as conditions worsen, all of those first responders are getting backed up call after call. So the police will be longer to respond. The tow trucks, first responders from EMS. So you may need to be prepared to sit in your vehicle longer. So make sure your gas tank's full. You've got those warm clothes, maybe even a small snack and a bottle of water. Keep your phone charged so you have the ability to reach 911 or make those phone calls, emergency services you need. Some of that pre-planning can really help you get where you need to go.
Absolutely. I've been scolding Tanner all
I
morning
know.
long
We
because
were
he
just
doesn't
talking
have the
about
kit.
that. I don't have a kit in my car. I need to reevaluate clearly. I mean, after, seeing some of the things that could happen out there, right?
Yeah. And one more question for you, Steve. When we see you guys out on the road, when we see your cars, what should we be doing as active drivers when we're trying to maybe get around you guys, or should we stay behind you? What should that look like?
Again, there's a new law that's been put out there about trying to travel 200 foot or better behind a plow truck. I think a day like today really accentuates the need for that law. It really provides to both the motorist and us doing our work that room to do our job. With the light snow that's out there, when we start to mechanically remove it, we're going to create one of those near whiteouts or a whiteout condition. So staying behind us to give yourself that room. If you need to, pass on the left and go by us. But on days like today, if you're not in a hurry, I think staying behind us would be a good place to be.
All right. Steve Roan with the Kent County Road Commission. We really appreciate your time and insight. Of course, I know that you guys are out there working so hard, so we hope that you guys stay safe out there on the roads. And yeah, thank you for your time. Of course, very valuable insight. All right, we want to go live now back to our accident that's happening, the biggest one that we've talked about this morning, which is I-96 just under Alpine Avenue. We have Jeremiah Brown standing by live. Jeremiah, good morning to you. What are you seeing out there and what can you tell us?
Yeah, Tanner, we're live just outside the station. I'm going to step out of the way here. You're looking at what we can see of a multiple car pile up here on eastbound 96, just out the Alpine Avenue exit. You can see we got a vehicle right off the road over there. That looks like the tow trucks are working on them. We got Walker Police. There were some state troopers who were here who just drove off, but we're seeing another tow truck helping a vehicle there. And just beyond the trees here, we're seeing more lights and more first responders. We were talking to Kent County Central Dispatch over the phone, and they told us that this is a multiple vehicle accident with around 20 vehicles involved. They said there are injuries that are reported. Fortunately, none of them are serious at this moment. And like as we were saying, Michigan State Police has put out there to have an emergency kit inside your vehicle. They said if you do go off-road and you do end up in an accident right now, to call 911 and to stay in your vehicle. Now, this is only just part of what we're able to see. A Life EMS vehicle just drove by there. But on the other side, there is a Walker police vehicle that is blocking the ramp going on 131 southbound, and there is more of a backup and congestion over there as responders are addressing vehicles on that side of Alpine Avenue as well. We're working on getting more information for you guys, but right now, live in Walker, I'm Jeremiah Brown, 13 on your side.
All right, Jeremiah, while we have you for a second, I want to ask just a follow-up question. So to be clear, it's the ramp from Alpine heading on to 96. That is open, but you know, a little bit west of Alpine on the eastbound lanes, that is still shut down, right?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
And JD, while you're out there right now, describe to our viewers, what's it like? Can you see clearly in front of you? Is visibility okay? How is it feeling outside?
Well, from where we're standing right now, we can see clearly onto the road here, but as we're driving around with the snow, it is really fine snow, and then with other cars driving in front of you in the wind, it is near whiteout conditions on the road. So, of course, give yourself plenty of time, and of course, be careful if you're on the roads out there.
All right, JD, thank you so much for that report. Get inside because it is cold.
Yes.
And with that being said, we want to continue our weather coverage right now.
Absolutely. We're going to send it over to meteorologist Colton Woods. Colton, this is not just regular type cold. The reason we need to get JD inside is because you can only be outside in temperatures like this for maybe 15 to 30 minutes at a time before you start to be posed at a risk for frostbite and hypothermia.
Yeah, for sure, Sam. I think with this type of cold, you can get frostbite within 30 minutes. So it's a pretty impressive cold out there right now. But before we get to the cold temperatures, I want to show you this cool picture that was sent in by Nathan Vojtovic. He's a photographer in the South Haven region, and he was just driving right near that crash that just happened on I-96 right before it actually happened. This was what it looked like before that crash occurred, with very poor visibility, obviously. And when you have cars in front of you also lofting that very fine and dry snow, that definitely limits your visibility out there right now. But speaking of the cold, it is very cold. Temperatures in the single digits right now. It really won't warm a whole lot more than this. 7 degrees right now in Grand Rapids, 8 in Holland, 8 in South Haven. It's a little bit warmer near the lakeshore than it is further inland, but overall we do have that very cold temperatures. Continuing upstream, you can see it's even colder. It's negative 25 for an actual air temperature right now in International Falls, Minnesota. We have that air continuing to move in across West Michigan, so really the temperatures won't warm up a whole lot over the coming days. What it actually feels like though, wind chill values, very cold on the other side of the lake. We're a little bit warmer because Lake Michigan actually modifies our air somewhat, but still feeling well below zero. Negative 14 right now in Kalamazoo, negative 12 in Muskegon. Feels like temperatures generally through the evening commute still feeling around negative 15 to negative 10 degrees, with that lake effect snow still ongoing across the region. You can see our webcams right now show a very snowy scene across the region. in Muskegon right now, you can see the wind actually blowing pretty strong, blowing the American flag around across the region. That will continue through the rest of the evening with wind gusts around 30 miles per hour near the lakeshore, which obviously makes our wind chills crash well below zero. Because of that, the National Weather Service has issued a cold weather advisory. This runs through noon on Wednesday. This is new verbiage that they're using this winter. It used to be a wind chill advisory. It is now a cold weather advisory with temperatures, or at least what it feels like, below -15 degrees for at least the next couple of days. You can see that timing that out through Tuesday morning, still feeling like -10 to even as cold as -20 in some areas. Tomorrow morning, that continues into the evening commute as well, feeling like a -21 in Kalamazoo and Battle Creek tomorrow evening. Wednesday, I'm expecting widespread school closures probably if this does verify. Wind chill values of -20 to even as cold as -25 near I-94 on Wednesday morning before we slowly warm things up. And by warm, I mean only temperatures feeling like the teens to 20s Thursday into Friday. So it'll be technically warmer, but still, in my opinion, pretty cold, feeling like the teens. And the actual air temperature still in the single digits through Tuesday, but then finally, 30 degrees. This
Woo!
Heat wave.
Yeah, a little heat wave
Heat
coming
wave.
on.
Get your
Saturday,
swimsuits out.
Sunday. And then hopefully we do have warmer temperatures moving into end this month. So, but still, it looks pretty cold with some warmer than average air into Minnesota. But back to you guys.
All right. I mean, Colton, I'm looking forward to the heat wave.
You see how he spun that so much at the end there? He was like, we have 30-degree temperatures coming up. Tanner, you're going Cabo, right?
In a few weeks.
In a few
Several
weeks.
weeks. Several
Okay,
weeks.
so everyone can send Tanner your hate mail.
Well, hold on. Don't send it just yet because I'm going to bring that heat back this
you're
way.
the reason for the heat
Yes.
wave.
Did
I
you not know
understand
that?
now.
Cabo's not for several weeks. So
I was giving you the credit, Colton. Sorry, it should go to Tanner. Hey, it could happen. Last year we saw 80 degrees, right? It was 80 degrees in February, upper 70s, low 80s, and a tornado. So.
Okay, well, let's maybe not manifest that. Okay, it's 11:27. We want to check in live with the 13 Weather Chaser. Aaron Sullivan is live there on I-94. Last time I checked, Aaron, you guys were in Portage. You guys are headed toward Comstock because you're getting ready to talk with Comstock firefighters about an incident that happened on I-94 early this morning. They were responding to an accident when another car slammed right into the back of their fire engine. So, we'll get to that in a second, but first, talk about the roads. What are you seeing there down towards Kalamazoo?
Well, I can tell you, you are continuing this journey with us together live because we just got off I-94 and we're on Sprinkle Road.
We're
fun name.
you.
So you are taking a live look with me right now. I'm just experiencing the side streets because we've been on the expressway all morning, you guys. But I would say, it looks okay over here. Visibility's not too bad. The roads aren't the worst we've seen this morning. A lot of people out, so it's good to see that there's not as many people out on the expressway right now. But yeah, definitely, like I said earlier, maybe just stay home today.
Yeah.
But roads aren't looking too bad. We're behind this semi, so we're taking it pretty slow for you guys. But yeah, we're on our way to that fire station right now. So roads are looking pretty good over here. I'm happy to say that. And the sun's peeking through. So
that's at
good
least
vibes
some
on
good
Sprinkle
news.
Road.
That's some good news. Yeah, so roundabouts always freak me out in the winter weather like that because, you never know if they're salted right. You never know what the...
Some people don't know how to drive on them.
Some people don't know how to drive, it's always, wishy-washy when you get on a roundabout. So, Aaron, just to ask you this question, how was that roundabout at Sprinkle?
I liked it. I'm an Ohio girl temporarily, so a roundabout is nothing to me.
Yeah, that's true. Okay,
roundabouts are nothing, but yeah, not too bad.
Can you tell us more about where you're headed and what your interview's about?
Yeah, so we are going to the Comstock Fire Department. We're going to be interviewing one of the chiefs there about the accident that happened earlier that you guys were talking a little bit about. So we're going to ask them what drivers should do if they're out on the roads today, if they see emergency vehicles. Should they slow down? Should they pull over? Just going over the basics because I think it's never a bad idea to have a gentle reminder of how to act in these winter weather conditions, especially with emergency crews out and about. You don't want to injure anyone further, especially when they're out there putting their lives at risk to help people in need. So that's what our mission is right now. About to get answers for you.
Yeah, all right. And we know that you're getting ready to talk to them here in just a matter of minutes. That'll be a story that you see here on 13 on Your Side as they continue to get that word out. We have a couple of breaking updates. So Aaron, thank you so much. We'll let you go there. A couple of breaking updates that I'm just now getting in. So this is straight from our newsroom. I'm getting this from our assignment desk editor, Timothy Dickman. He's saying that MSP is confirming that in that accident on I-96, right here at Alpine Avenue, there was somebody that got out of their car and was hit by another car. So right now, this is just, you know, already devastating situation. We're continuing to hear more sad updates out of this. So we've been tracking this crash for the better part of an hour now.
Okay.
And so, yep, again, one person got out of their car and they were hit. Michigan State Police confirming that to us, basically to just get the word out that if you slide off or you're involved in any sort of spin out, you know, a crash, anything like that, stay in your vehicle until first responders can get to you. That's the messaging from MSP right now. We have another update from Michigan State Police that a cruiser was hit in Muskegon. Michelle Robinson with Michigan State Police is saying no injuries are reported in that crash, but she's trying to get more details as far as location and who was involved. Again, this is exactly what we see with lake effect snow.
Yes.
And in these whiteout conditions, they can become very dangerous very quickly.
Absolutely. And here's what you need to know in terms of we are all helpful people. We want to get out. We want to help the person on the side of the road. This is not going to be the type of situation where you want to do something like that because our maps, our intensity of our lake effect snow, where those bands are set up, the placement of them, those things can change in a matter of minutes. Let's go ahead here and take a look at our current satellite and radar and show you who's seeing the most intense snowfall. So right now we've got southern Muskegon County. They've got a pretty good band right now stretching from Muskegon Heights in and out of Norton Shores. There looks like Norton Shores might be kind of right in a sweet spot right now between the two bands that are set up. Let me see if I can get this just onto my sweeping radar here. No, that doesn't look too good. Okay, so if you can see, if we travel a little bit further south, we've got just south of Fruitport, stretching through Ferrysburg, Nunica, underneath a good little band of lake effect snow, Coopersville, stretching through Marne, all the way over through Walker, where we are seeing that major accident that just occurred, over 20 cars involved, through Comstock Park, and then you notice as you travel further east there, that band begins to fall apart. So those of you, Cannonsburg, Rockford, Belding, you may be saying to yourself, it's not even snowing outside, and that's going to be the nature of these bands. You get over to Greenville, Trufant, Stanton, you're not going to see much in the way of snowfall. Traveling a little bit further south directly across the 96 corridor, you can see this band holding a little bit more form, right? It has a longer amount of fetch that those bands get to travel across Lake Michigan. I talked about that earlier, and I can explain that again shortly here. But what you're seeing here is also stronger winds and a convergence zone. That's a fancy weather term that's happening right now, stretching through Kent County from the 96 corridor almost to the 94 corridor, and that's going to take these lake effect snow bands further inland. We also are starting to see our wind speeds pick up in intensity. West Olive underneath a pretty good band there. Hudsonville looks like you're in a sweet spot in between the bands themselves. Jenison within a band right now. So you can see just on a 10-mile basis, things are changing drastically. Byron Center, which this rarely happens, usually Byron Center, you're kind of in a hot spot of lake effect snow, but the winds have turned west enough. You get a little northwest tilt, that will be right back into Byron Center, but because the winds have taken on almost a completely westerly orientation, we're seeing that skip Byron Center, stretching through Dorr, just north of Wayland, Shelbyville in between as well. So again, as you're driving on the roadways, you're going to have 5, 10, 15-minute intervals where things are calm, you kind of start to gain momentum, you gain a little bit of confidence driving, and then you start to drive into these whiteout conditions and things change so rapidly. I want to look here at some of our cameras across West Michigan. We've got a live look over Muskegon. That flag is just whipping. We've got winds right now, 17 miles per hour sustained, wind chill values sitting at -12. half-mile visibility. Let's check those winds. I want to really note here the orientation of them and their direction. So yeah, right along the lakeshore edge, we've got northwesterly winds. And then as they continue to kind of move inland, let me get my little mouse out here so that you can see what I'm pointing at. So we've got west-northwest winds right along the lakeshore edge itself. And then as they start to move in, they take on that little bit more of a westerly direction, which is what's dragging some of those bands further inland. A couple of my other cameras here. We've got some MDOT cameras across West Michigan, as well as your satellite and radar. MDOT cameras, I mean, so many areas. Nunica right now, that dark cloud sitting overhead, that's going to be one of your lake effect clouds. Once you get underneath that, it is not going to be any fun. Let's go ahead and do hour by hour forecast here of how long we're going to see these lake effect bands last like this for. That might be your next question, like when is this going to end? It will end, just not until Tuesday night in terms of lake effect snow.
You know, I think we can brace for impact here for a little bit.
Yeah, we have our 13 weather impact through Wednesday morning, and if you're not seeing the snowfall, you are at least feeling the cold temperatures. So Tanner, talk to me a little bit about hypothermia risk and where that comes at play.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, we've been talking about these cold temperatures and just how easy hypothermia, not only that, frostbite, things like that can set in. So one thing to keep in mind today and throughout these next couple of days, spend just minutes outside. That can greatly increase your risk of frostbite and hypothermia. So frostbite symptoms include redness, pale skin, and numbness. It can even cause muscle stiffness. And in severe cases, you might even get some blisters on the skin. Signs of hypothermia include drowsiness, slurred speech, and loss of coordination. Frostbite can start to affect you in as little as 15 minutes.
So the people who'd be at most at risk for like frostbite or hypothermia, which is when your body temperature gets too cold, would be the very young and the very old, or people with other chronic conditions. So just in general, it'd be great for those populations to stay inside. Other ones would be anybody who's got asthma, COPD, other breathing problems that can cause a lot of lung irritation.
So if you or someone you know has the signs of frostbite or hypothermia, you need to get to a warm area, take any of the wet clothes that they may have on off, warm up with dry blankets and clothes, and seek medical attention. We also got to talk about our furry friends, because humans are not the only ones who are in danger from the cold. You'll also want to make sure that you know how to keep your pets safe during the winter blast. So Operation Solo in Muskegon posted this chart on their Facebook page. They say below 32 degrees, older, smaller, or dogs with those like really thin coats should not be left outside for long. And when it's below 20 degrees, dogs should not be outside at all, because they could develop hypothermia or frostbite just like a human. So again, right now the conditions are not favorable for dogs or cats or anything to be outside right now. And even humans, I mean, we are recommending that you try to stay home and stay out of the elements as much as possible. All right, it is 11:38. If you're joining us right now, we're continuing our coverage on 13 Plus of the winter weather event that we're having right now. We have lake effect snow stretching from the lakeshore all the way across West Michigan. We also have bitter cold temperatures outside. Let's get over to meteorologist Colton Woods with the latest on this. I mean, we're talking feels like temperatures in like the negative teens. We also have temperatures that are barely making it into the single digits, Colton.
Yeah, Tanner, it's definitely cold out there. And like you said, us humans could get frostbite within 30 minutes just because of how cold this air is. This is the coldest air since 2019, about 6 years ago, that polar vortex event that happened at the end of January in 2019. But current temperatures, very cold right now. It is 8 degrees right now in Muskegon, 7 degrees in Grand Rapids, only 2 in Kalamazoo. So very impressive cold. Like I said, the coldest since 2019. Area-wide though, across the northern tier of the United States, it's even colder, believe it or not, in Minnesota. It is negative 25 degrees in International Falls. The temperature, what it feels like there, is probably close to negative 40. So it could be a lot colder here in West Michigan, but still, it's cold to us. Temperatures feeling like almost negative 20 in Kalamazoo, negative 10 in Muskegon, and this cold likely will linger over the next couple of days. Through this afternoon, though, temperatures will feel like the negative teens still, with lake effect snow continuing through at least the evening commute, and that will likely persist even in the overnight hours. The National Weather Service has a cold weather advisory in effect now through the noon hour on Wednesday, because temperatures will feel like negative 15 degrees or even colder. And I would imagine a lot of schools will be closing tomorrow and also into Wednesday for not only the lake effect snow, but also the cold temperatures, as wind chills will be dangerous for those kiddos waiting outside the bus. You can see Tuesday evening still feeling like negative 21 in Kalamazoo. That will continue into Wednesday morning, what it will feel like probably the coldest air so far this winter, and Wednesday morning's commute probably widespread school closings if this does verify. But thankfully, the warmer temperatures coming in, so we'll have temperatures feeling like the teens by Thursday probably, but the cold temperatures likely linger into Monday and Tuesday and into Wednesday before 30 degrees finally comes this weekend. So guys, finally we get some warmer temperatures to move in toward the end of the week, but still it's about average, so we're not expecting a major thaw by any means.
I think we're on the roller coaster going up right now, right? We're going up and we're going to hit the 30s.
Well, we have a little down. We have a little down to go before we go up.
You need
It's
that
gonna make the
momentum, right?
up
That's
feel
how roller
even better.
coasters work.
Yes,
Exactly.
absolutely.
Well, also, I think you keep showing that map. My
Mm-hmm.
hometown, Coldwater, -21 for it feels like.
Yeah, we are sending a lot of warm hugs and love to mom and dad in Coldwater.
Mom and dad, I know that if you're watching, you guys will be bundled up.
Yes.
But you know what? I can hear the screams from all the school kids saying, "Yay!"
Spoons under the pillow,
I know.
everybody.
Flush ice down the toilet.
Oh, is that what you did?
Yeah,
Okay.
we did that.
Pajamas inside out. I've heard
Pajamas
all the
inside out.
theories.
Yep, exactly. Hey, we want to bring you up to speed on some breaking news. You know, we have been following that accident on I-96, very close to Alpine Avenue. This is a good update.
Yeah.
We are hearing from Michigan State Police just moments ago. No life-threatening injuries. There were whiteout conditions when this happened.
Wow.
We had snowy roads and people were just driving too fast. This is straight from the trooper on scene there. The trooper is saying there were a couple of semis, which we can see there, were involved, and maybe 15-ish cars involved in this initial crash. We are working to get some more accurate numbers, but it's in the ballpark of 15 cars involved, plus the semis that you see there.
Okay.
So again, good news update.
That is fantastic
No
news,
life-threatening
especially
injuries, yeah.
when we first saw this, we saw a box truck rolled over. We
Yep.
saw a semi truck sitting on top of another car, which you know is like Scary Movie 101,
Oh my
right?
gosh.
Seeing something like that. We saw multiple tow trucks, multiple ambulances. So that is really the best update that we could have gotten, that we don't have those life-threatening injuries.
Yeah, so it's important to note that there are 2 crashes in this mile-and-a-half stretch
Okay.
of 96. So this is one. Another crash happening down the road at 96 and 131.
Okay.
We're hearing that there's another several cars involved in that accident. Not only that, we want to bring you up to speed. If you're just joining us, we have another crash in Muskegon involving a police cruiser.
Okay.
This is a Michigan State police cruiser. At this point, let me make sure I have my details correct. So this is from Michelle Robinson with MSP saying no injuries reported in that crash in Muskegon. We have seen crashes already today involving first responders.
Yes.
We had earlier this morning a crash involving a Comstock fire engine.
And that's the second time that's happened in that area, right? We had one happen a few weeks back.
Same area, same department.
Wow.
Same area, same department. So 94, very close to Kalamazoo. I want to say it was mile marker 83.
Okay.
Actually do believe that's correct. Where there was a person that had slid off and hit a pole. The fire engine was sitting right there on the side of the road, of course, doing their first responder duties,
Right.
And blocking that accident so no one would hit them.
They don't have a choice.
They don't have a choice.
They don't
They
have
have
a choice
to do
to
it.
be out there. They're making sure they're out there to be safe for you. We have a choice to slow down,
Yep.
to go around, get in the other lane, and really do our due diligence. When we see those lights flashing,
Yeah.
you really need to take the time to assess, is it really worth it to put their lives at risk so that you can get to work 5 minutes earlier?
Yeah.
It simply just is not.
You know, I know that a lot of us get in a rush on Monday morning. We're coming off a weekend. We're also coming off a Lions win. So
Right,
you might have
we're
just been
down
double
bad.
mad, right?
We're down bad.
But, you know, we're joking around, but it is a serious situation,
is.
you know, where you have this fire engine on the road. You just want to take it very, very slow. And you know that their lights were lit up. So you know you just want to be sure to avoid any first responder activity on the roads. Yesterday, I was headed back to Michigan from Indianapolis, and I was on I-196 coming along the lakeshore, and I hit whiteout conditions and very slick roads, and actually snow-covered roads on 196. And I'll tell you what, I drove by a rollover, and then like a little bit later, another car that was on its side.
And it's not always the amount of snow, especially in a case like this. We haven't had enough snow come down yet to really warrant, you know, blaming it on the amount of snow that's piled up on the roadways. This is about the type of snow that's falling. So this is lake effect snow. What you're seeing here, the reason our camera looks like it could use a little squeegee on it and maybe clean it off a little bit.
It's clear. We're just seeing
It's
Snow.
just that reduced visibility. But when the snow is so fine, so dusty-like,
Yeah.
it ends up blowing and drifting really easily. And Tanner, this is where I'll nerd out for a second. This all comes down to snowfall ratio. So the average system snow that moves through, right, that's that hardy low pressure system that clips down and it comes from the north and it brings us
Look, it's
everyone a
even
blast of
it's starting
snow.
to get hazy there. I
Yeah,
mean, it's
exactly.
getting more hazy.
You're like, I'm
Sorry,
blurry.
I didn't mean to
Tanner's
interrupt,
like,
but-
Sam's talking science and the camera's blurry
You know
and I'm
that
falling
TikTok
asleep.
audio that's like blah blah blah, proper name, first name.
That's what just
this
happened.
is, yeah.
Anyway, this is a really high snowfall ratio, 20-to-1, if not higher. It's really fine. It's really fluffy. It's easy to shovel, which is nice. My husband will appreciate that because I'm not shoveling this afternoon. But here's the thing. It's not good to drive in because reduced visibility happens really, really quickly.
It happens very quickly, and we are seeing the evidence of that. If we can take a look at our Walker Tower camera, which is now pointed toward I-96, and that brutal accident that happened, no injuries, no life-threatening injuries, we should say, by the way. That is the direct result of whiteout conditions and people driving way too fast.
Absolutely. And then, in addition to these whiteout conditions, we saw lots of people standing outside, still some people walking around out there. But now you're talking, they're stuck standing outdoors in sub-zero conditions.
Yeah.
Actual temperatures are reading in the single digits this morning. They will remain that way through the remainder of the day. Winds are sustained 7 to 14 miles per hour, gusting at 30.
Speaking of gusty winds, can we take a look at Muskegon?
Yeah, let's see that flag flying.
There it is.
All right.
That's live,
but
folks.
the buildings, I mean, you can barely see the buildings off in the distance there. It goes to show just how far that visibility is. Colton, do you have the visibility map that you maybe could pull up for us? Let's see how that's doing across West Michigan. I would assume that visibility is really low.
What is,
in
while
many
he's pulling that up,
locations.
what does Grand Haven look like at this hour? Oh, he's got it
he's
right
so
there.
quick.
Oh,
Look at that.
I know. Look at him. We don't have that camera. That's fine. But we have the visibility map.
So we've got 3/4 mile visibility right now in Grand Rapids, 2 mile Muskegon. Don't believe it. That looked like less than 2 miles visibility to me. 1/2 mile in Holland, 1/2 mile in Kazoo. Saginaw, sunshine. Oh, don't we all wish we were there?
Okay, let's take a look at Grand Haven.
Oh, there it is.
Can you even see the lighthouse out there?
Oh, you can barely see it. And you want to know what? And I feel like
What is this
Colton,
white here? What is that?
Oh, that's ice and snow.
So that's ice on the lake.
Yeah, Colton, you posted this weekend something really interesting on your Facebook that I saw. I'm putting you on the spot here about people walking out on those ice. Can you talk about that and what that's all about? The ice shelves.
The ice shelves.
Yeah.
We had a photographer, Nathan Vojtovic. He sent a really cool video to us of the ice on the Lake Michigan and super dangerous conditions. He actually had drone footage of a dad and probably his 2 sons on the ice, and they were just out right next to the water, and the ice was actually collapsing under them or right next to them.
Yikes.
So definitely not a good idea to go right next to that ice.
And I'm putting our producer Maddie on the spot really quick.
Yeah, maybe we can find that video.
It's in the 6 a.m. rundown if you can find it somewhere and drag it over to this rundown, because I want to show you guys just how interestingly shaped that water has carved the ice out. And it's
people
beautiful.
might not know. People might not know. They might think, oh, this is a really interesting structure. They're visiting the area. They want to get a closer look. They want to get right up to the edge. But the fact of the matter is it's not sturdy. It's not something that you should be playing on by any means.
Yeah.
Bringing kids out on.
And I'm trying to help Maddie out to see if I can hop in the rundown there
and see if you can find it.
Yeah, because it is really interesting. Oh, she's got it. It's coming in very soon. So whenever you have that video ready, pull it up, because this is exactly what we're talking about.
And even the temperatures, of course, right now supporting ice development. We're going to continue to see the Great Lakes ice develop, and then, oh, here's what we were talking about. Tell us about it again, Colton. What is it that we're seeing here?
Yeah, so obviously too close to that water, because the ice is actually, you can see, currently falling through. As those waves come in, you just get chunks of ice that just fall in. And if you get too close, you yourself could fall into that water. And obviously, the water this time of year is not warm, so.
And we called it caves, right?
It's ice caves. What else did we call it? There was another ice shelves.
An ice shelf, yes. And then the first responders, I mean, they really can't get you.
Did you see that example right there where the water came up and slapped it? And then it fell right into the water. I mean, that is exactly what they're talking about. If you were on that, like, you would have fallen right in. And the warning that firefighters, I believe these firefighters were Saugatuck Township. They say that if you get caught down there, it's likely their equipment will not be able to come and save you. It's going to be very difficult. So that is just something to keep in mind. It's fun to look at, right?
It's beautiful.
Beautiful to look at, maybe from the drone's perspective.
Yeah, from the drone's perspective. You don't want to be in the water.
Yeah. No.
Don't want to get caught up in that.
Let's do a round of tower cam, shall we?
Yeah, let's take a look across West Michigan and see how some of our conditions are doing. Clearly, you can see visibility greatly reduced here. This has got to be one of our...
This is 196, so the Ford Freeway at
196
College.
Ave, yeah.
I'm trying to see because there's some slow-moving traffic. I'm going to refresh the MDOT map to see if maybe there's an accident there, because that seems really slow, unless people are just heeding our warning, which is good.
It could just be that visibility is getting that bad within some of these bands. Now, I want to give everybody one final... oh, yeah, that doesn't look good.
Oh, wait, what did I say?
Look at on the screen, Tanner, you'll see there the areas of red that are popping up pretty much everywhere. Northbound US 131 right now is showing a solid line of red until you get a little bit closer to the Rockford area. And then we start to see some vast improvements. But this goes to show if you're driving into the greater Grand Rapids region, you're going to be running into a very different scene than if right now you are in Rockford, if you are in Mecosta, Mount Calm County, Big Rapids. You do not have the same road conditions as those from Holland, Muskegon, Grand Rapids, down through the Wayland area.
Now, just to give you an idea, red on the map signifies stop.
Okay.
Orange is go, but I mean, it is
A slow
very
go.
slow go. And then yellow is, a little bit faster than green is, all systems go. But right now, across,
Dave right now is like,
Dave
oh,
Cackley,
these
I
two,
know.
trying to do the traffic
I know,
report.
he's watching from home, like
Rolling his eyes at us.
but yeah, so this is just kind of the scenario that we have across West Michigan. It makes sense. We've been seeing and talking about the whiteout conditions at times that we've had. We saw it on the tower camera there.
Yeah.
Michigan State Police confirming that accident on 96 was because of whiteout conditions and people just driving way too fast.
Yeah.
I know, go ahead.
So earlier in the show, if you've been with us this whole time,
Thanks
you guys
for
are
watching.
fantastic.
Thank you.
We love doing streaming stuff like this because it's fun to get to be a little bit more casual. As you know, if you watch us in the morning, I tend to break character every once in a while. Like I go from being chief meteorologist to then they get me in a case of the giggles, and this I just get to giggle all the way
we're
through.
coming back and I'll make a face at her right as we're coming back out of the break.
Yeah, it's really unfair. They know that I have the heart of like a 12-year-old and I just can't stop laughing. But earlier today, Tanner made me post on Facebook. He said, you're going to post on Facebook and get people to ask you questions. I posted quite some time ago. My account, Meteorologist in the Dutch, I have 6 likes, 0 comments. So if you have any questions about the weather,
616-559-1310. Text us.
or go comment, because I'm just embarrassed at this point, I think, about the amount of interaction that I've gotten in that. But I want to answer your questions. Colton wants to answer your questions. And we want to make sure that we're getting everything out to you in a clear way so that you feel safe going forward throughout this week. Because this is not just a one-day event. We've got multiple days of 13 weather impact alerts.
Yeah, we do. And to take a little bit of a sharp turn, we are supposed to be out at 11:57. So if you can do maybe like another couple
want me to
slides.
dance?
I was like, yeah, we are practicing a dance right now.
I thought I was going to start to cha-cha or something.
Yeah.
But yes, we absolutely can. Colton, do you want to give us another full weather hit so that we can give everybody kind of like a full comprehensive look of what we've got going forward? I'm going to give him time because I just
while
put
he's
him right
pulling
on the
that
spot
up,
to do that.
we've been talking about this crash on 96 at Alpine Avenue. No life-threatening injuries in a 15-plus car pile up here.
My goodness.
We have several semis involved on top of the 15 cars involved. Michigan State Police confirming no life-threatening injuries. There was another accident in Muskegon, no life-threatening injuries, but it did involve an MSP cruiser, according to MSP. And then another one just east of what you were looking at there at 131 and 96, another multi-car crash is what we're understanding there.
And a lot of this information coming from Michelle Robinson.
Yeah, Michelle Robinson, who we love.
We love her.
We love Michelle
We just
Robinson.
have to give her a shout out.
Sometimes when she comes into the station, I get so
cookies.
excited.
Yeah,
All right.
she's just the best. All right, Colton's
Colton?
ready now. He's going to give us a look at your full forecast. Colton?
Yeah, it's cold and snowy, that's for sure, guys. That will continue over the next couple of days. Because of that, the National Weather Service does have winter weather advisories pretty much for almost all of us besides Montcalm and Mecosta County. That runs through Wednesday at 1 a.m. for the lake effect snow. Here's a live look at Walker at that terrible crash that occurred there earlier today. You can see still cleanup crews are there, first responders are there, wind chill values of -8, poor visibility everywhere. Right now in Muskegon, the winds are pretty strong across the region as well. You can see it's pretty gusty across Muskegon. meaning wind chill values pretty cold, now down to -10 degrees. Here's a live look at the radar though right now. Muskegon, Holland, Grand Haven, down to South Haven, even into Grand Rapids, still seeing some moderate to even heavy snow as these lake effect snow bands continue throughout the rest of the day. The winds are breezy. You can still see through this evening wind gusts up to 30 miles per hour are likely along the lakeshore, which means the snow will be blowing because it's that super fine snow, and also the wind chill values will be much colder than that throughout the rest of the day. This is how much snow we're expecting, or through at least our future radar through 4 p.m. The evening commute still looking to be rough, and the morning commute tomorrow as well, as these lake effect snow bands continue with that westerly wind, meaning visibility will be poor, the snow will be blowing, and it will be cold. So make sure you take it slow out there, as the roads will be pretty icy, because salt really doesn't work when temperatures get this cold across the region. Even into Tuesday afternoon, the lake effect snow will continue. This is how much snow we're expecting through Tuesday morning. A widespread 6 inches in the purple, and then 3 to 6 inches in that darker blue. Over 10 inches is possible in some locations of West Michigan. This is what we're expecting for the rest of the day today. Single-digit temperatures with lake effect snow continuing. Temperatures in the single digits off to the north, and Grand Rapids to the south, generally around 4 or 5 degrees. Your 13 on your side 7-day forecast does show that our winter weather impact alert runs through Wednesday, and then a little bit warmer later this week.
Sorry, we were all trying to squeeze into the so we can all say goodbye. I was trying to move Sam over this way.
You can never get to my height, Colton. I'm way too short.
Yeah.
Oh, how much fun was this
this
today,
was great,
though?
you guys.
Yeah, I had a really great time doing this. Please, please, please stay safe. We've got
Yes.
a couple days of 13 weather impact alerts. You can text us 616-559-1310. Any weather questions, or comment on my Facebook post.
What just dropped?
I don't know.
What a smashing way
Oh.
to end this.
Oh, well,
All
sorry,
right.
Tanner. That was yours.
Have a great